Oh, hello. You caught me painting already. Mini Extravaganza is continuing along. Hopefully you just finished up watching Will, and Plum talk about the insight and philosophy of design, of SharePoint. And now we're going to paint up the Sinister Silicates. And if you haven't figured that out, it's Sandman. He's a silicate. I'm so excited to paint this up. I've been waiting so long for this miniature. And it's super great that we get to share this experience. We can talk about how to paint sand. We're going to talk about how to create a transition between the sand and the green shirt, because that's a very important part of the design. I want to show that body moving into sand kind of situation. So instead of me yammering, we should get hammering on some painting. Kick it to the mini cam, Tony. I'm going to keep using my bad brush that I'm going to keep complaining about. And hopefully everybody's enjoying their mini extravaganza. I'm enjoying my mini extravaganza. So this is going to have a lot of transitions. It's going to be a lot of fun. Absolutely love this miniature. We get asked a lot. We talk a lot about when you're designing a miniature, you go through a bunch of poses and all this stuff. This was a one and done. I'm going to tell you. Just first pose, and everybody was just like, and that's it. That's the one. Call it a day. Ship it. Because we all just super thought that this really captured Marco at his most just powerful and dramatic moment. And it just really shows off how amazing Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is. Just a fantastic Rogues Gallery. We're going to start out with a layer, just some skin color. We're going to get some green. We're going to start painting the green shirt. We're going to use that zenithal to our advantage. There you go. Mike says, so excited to get this miniature. Yeah, I've been waiting a long time for this one. Absolutely adore Spider-Man and his fantastic Rogues Gallery, as we were just talking about. That green is going to stand out so good against this sand color. But we just got to build stuff in slowly and get it all together. While that green dries, get another layer on that face.
Dallas, that fist is so big, it's actually covering Sandman's face.
Yeah, it's huge, right?
Right.
People are going to be so mad. People are going to be so mad if we ever do Hydro Man. It's just yeah, it's the same thing. Just water. This is why mess with perfection? You know what I mean, Tony? Oh my gosh, that would be absolutely perfect.
Arm floaties.
Oh, Tony coming in with ideas and good ones. Marco, write that down. Oh, green, green, green. Just like that. Let's add a little blue. Work in some shadows. I know it's going to be hard to see sometimes.
That's a gorgeous transition. Like that
Yeah.
blue-green to green.
That blue-green, yeah, and I think we're gonna use a little bit, I think we need another layer maybe of green. And then we're gonna go into, I think I'm gonna stay away from yellow in the green. You know, a lot of times you can shade or highlight green with yellows, because as green moves up, the color scale, it can turn yellow. But because the sand is going to be yellow, I want to avoid that. So I'm gonna use, I think, white. I think I'm gonna use white to highlight my green. Do you need to move the camera? What color is this darker green? This is, sorry, I kind of got all these paints out in a rush. Green oxide, is it green oxide? And a little dark jade. Oh, I'm relatively new to user of a wet palette. How do you know how much water is enough for the palette? You shouldn't be able to splosh the paint. Does that make sense? The paint on the palette should, it should dampen the palette, but you shouldn't be able to splosh it. Because all you're trying to do is keep the paint slightly damp and workable. Okay, let's add, need some red. Pew, pew, pew. Not dark plum. Ah, burnt red. Yeah, if the paint can sploosh, you're doing it all wrong, kid. We're going to use a little glaze medium too. We want translucency because we're going to paint the skin. We're going to take our base tone, a little touch of red. I said a touch of red, Tony.
I was just thinking that. I was like, that's a lot.
Well, you're like, this. He didn't teach me this touch. This is new. New information. I don't like it. And some of this glaze medium. This is going to be our first shade. A little more glazy medium. I actually use my new brush. Stop it, Dallas. Massive kudos to Sculptor for Sandman. Absolutely in contention for best in the game. That would be one Mr. Dave Kidd. Shout out to my brother Dave Kidd. He sculpts a lot of stuff for us across many of our lines. He did the entire Marvel Crisis Protocol core box and I believe the entirety of the new core box. And then the studio paint job was Brendan Roy. Once again, shout out to my boy Brendan. Been painting with us for like ever, literally ever. He painted the entirety of the Marvel Crisis Protocol core box and painted the entirety of the new Marvel Crisis Protocol core box. So your paint looks like melted ice cream. Is that the consistency to look for? There's no correct consistency. This is the way I paint. I love thin paint. I love to work with very thin paint. But I love paint in the bottle to be very thick, because I can always thin paint, but I can't thick it. If that makes sense. But yeah, I like to paint in very, very thin, with a very, very thin paint. I personally find it to be more controlled, more concise. I get to do what I want with the paint. I have more control. I know currently it's sort of in vogue to be like, I'm going to strip this miniature, start all over. I've never had to strip a miniature because I paint so thin, I can just keep painting on it. Like, I can just keep going. Add some white to the green. Do you think our shadow needs to be a little dark? I think the shadow needs to be a little darker too on the green. Cal Fry in the house saying excited for this. Cal Fry is a Spider Foes player. Give you props on your tactical reloads. I'm just a boy doing my best here. Let's use this to dark line. A little bit. So hard to paint on stream. We actually want to use black for that. A little black in there. Are you using a different brush for blending? Yes. I use a technique called two-brush wet blending. So I use two paint brushes at the same time. I have one to apply the paint, one to blend the paint. and that's just how I paint. It allows me to be very flexible, allows me to be very fast. Allows me to fix mistakes very quickly, and allows me to get, honestly, almost airbrush, or to be honest, airbrush smooth blends. Tony knows, he's seen airbrush smooth blends with a paintbrush. It does take practice, but the other cool thing, you can get really tight lines by pushing the paint on, then using the damp brush, just pushing that paint to the upper ridge, and you get a perfect straight line.
I will say that it is one of those techniques that I feel pays dividends by spending time working on. It's not just a quick technique, it's usable all the time.
Yeah, and I don't use it for every step. I switch and I do other things, but it is my go-to. It's just the way I learned to paint. It's granted me speed. Speed has offered me a lot in my career. Because let me tell you, as a freelancer, getting done fast makes you a very desirable freelancer. But it's a nice technique to learn. Do you usually have reference photos while you paint, or do you study ahead of time and go from memory and or feel? It all depends on the project. I do highly believe in using reference photos, especially if you were to do something like, painting for a studio. We paint and we work with IPs, and so we have to get it right when we're doing a studio miniature. When I paint for myself, I might study weird things that like sort of translate to what I want to go with. But also a lot of times I kind of just YOLO it, I kind of just get in and just begin painting. Something like a face, I'll look at the face a couple times and get a feel for the character, and then because I really just think you should explore flesh tones, I like to just make it up as I go, because there's no wrong way to paint flesh tones. There's no wrong color. You can get dark, you can get brown, you can get some reds in there, I'm getting some greens in there. If you start doing 5 o'clock shadow or stuff like that, you start getting blues or purples in there. Right now we're throwing a little green over top of that red. Red and green makes brown.
This might be a good thing to talk about, Dallas. So if red and green make brown, why not mix the red with the green beforehand? Because the typical flesh process is adding a little bit of red and then going over it with green.
So the next step will be pure red, pure brown mixed together. It makes it very, very dark. By doing a mix of each with the base color and adding in that mixing medium, I'm creating more translucency, which is what gives skin that, that unique, the skin has that unique attribute of looking sort of translucent. Sunlight is under the skin when you're out in the sun, right? So it allows me to create that sort of feel of translucency. If I just mix red and green together, it gets very dark very quick. I want to build into that. So I don't want to rush, right? I want to build my translucency. I want to control the skin tone. I want more red in that because it looks terrible. And then this is just the final red, green, pure mix. And it is very, very dark. And it's good. It's just going in the deepest areas to create the deepest shadows. And I might need to clean that up. It's a little hard on camera. That's okay. Love this miniature with the metal rods and the concrete pieces. Thank you. Yeah, we were very happy with this. Like I said, we kind of drew one image of this miniature, and it was just done. It was just like, that's the one. A giant hammer fist, you know, getting ready to come down and just hit poor Peter Parker in the noggin. You know, morphing into this pile of whirlwind of sand and stuff like that, like just super dramatic. Not a big fan of the junk metal at the bottom. I don't know what you mean by junk metal. The stoplight?
I'm talking about, yeah, the busted stoplights, the rebar.
The rebar? What are you talking about, Gooey? The duality of man right here. I love this scup with the metal rods and the pieces. I don't like the metal in the bottom. I can give everybody in the world $100 bill and half would complain on how I folded it. You know what I mean? The duality of man. Little highlight. This is all built into the sand. It'd be very difficult to make it optional.
It's always a good opportunity for conversion and changes.
You and your hobby knife are unstoppable. Like Thelma and Louise.
Is that our next miniature, hobby knife?
I mean, we kind of did
Fillet?
it. We kind of did it earlier today, or yesterday. We love a 15, 20-minute video of different paint techniques on YouTube. It's pain sometimes scrubbing through Twitch VODs to try to find parts where a paint explaining technique they use. Yeah, but I think I get what you're saying, but I think at the same time, like sometimes the entire conversation is sort of essential to understanding, and that bite-size yumminess can become a little convoluted and not fully explain the gravity of the situation. That's my opinion, but you know, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. This is called wet blending. It's where two wet paints come together and mush together and kind of create a blend. How the heck are you holding the other brush? Tony, switch to the other camera. And then blend. Pop, pop, pop. That's it.
That brush change is a bit of a skill in and of itself, but it becomes innate after a while.
So I practiced that that switch. Want to know how I practice that switch? Have I told you how I practice that switch? No. I put on a movie, a long one, like 3 hours kind of movie, and I sat down and I watched that movie and switched brushes. I didn't paint. I switched brushes while watching a movie. What challenges for sculpting this guy? That would be a good question from Marco. I don't remember a lot of challenges. We kind of had to work out how exactly we wanted the rebar to work. And then we changed the shirt design a little bit to make more sense for miniature. Like instead of having, because we needed the separation between the lines. It became one of those things where it's like, if you do green and the green and black lines as separate, it becomes basically 2 insets for each color, and it just became convoluted looking. So we just cut the inset lines, and like that's the dark part to create the stripedy shirt. Because by making, or the other option, we did talk very shortly about just leaving the shirt blank, and you would have to paint on the stripes. So we had to discuss how to get that stripedy shirt the best it could be without being terrible to deal with, right? Things are more complicated than you think in miniature design. It's very easy to go, well, you could have done this. Could we? It's very tricky. There's a lot of ins and outs, and there's a lot of questions that have to be asked. That's more than just. It's very complicated. Oh, you're very good at talking with a stick in your mouth. I am. Once again, I've been doing this for a while. So I've got practice. You learn how to not close your mouth, but hold with the teeth, not the gums. Oh, he's coming to life. Can I have an AMG mug, please, for my paint water? I don't know who Roran Zorro is. Should I know that? What am I missing, Tony?
I'm not actually sure what that is either.
Am I being insulted? Rude. Just trying to be helpful. Woo! I about bopped the green with my brown. That would have been a travesty. I only know the Masked Duelist Zorro. Well, if it's a compliment, I appreciate it. If it's an insult, well, I can't play a game with you at a convention. Sorry. So we're just mashing on this wet paint. My ancient paint master taught me the art of paint smash, and that's what we're doing. Oh, I haven't watched that yet or read it. I may watch it. You can convince me to watch it. Just smash that paint on. Whoa. What the heck? Got a wrong color there, Tony.
I saw that.
Situation grim. Reap, reap, reap.
Now, Dallas will demonstrate how to calmly fix your mistakes.
Just paint over it, man. Oops. That was an oops. As I've said before, Tony, painting miniatures is a fine art of correcting one's mistakes. Alan Ab models. Maybe more of a general question, but has there been any mini in the last 4 years which you felt you certainly leveled up in terms of what you were able to sculpt, pose, and deliver on? Or is it more of a gradual improvement with each one? Ooh, good question. So, if you've been paying attention to Mainstrap, which I don't know why you haven't, like, man, we've been talking about all kinds of cool stuff. But you know, we definitely talk about like constantly wanting to improve, grow, change, evolve, adapt, do better than last time. Like that is just a philosophy, you know, we live and breathe at AMG. It's built into our DNA. It's just who we are as people. So, you know, every single miniature, from every department, the idea is always like, well, how can we do it better next time, right? Sculpting in particular, I will speak directly to sculpting, as sculpting and art is my departments, and I don't want to tell tales out of school for other departments. You know, we're pretty much like, we could have done better. And we haven't even finished the sculpt yet. Like, we haven't even finished the sculpt and we're like, we could have done better. And so there's always this desire and want to go higher, further, farther, faster. And that's great. So there's always this gradual growth. But if there's one that just stands out, you know, I think going from the lessons of Storm into what we were able to accomplish with somebody like Scarlet Witch. And then, and that even leads into like the new core box Black Widow. Like all these things are iterative of themselves. Dr. Octopus, you know, we knew pretty early on that, you know, eventually we're going to resculpt the core set, right? That's just the nature of miniature games. And we, you know, but we did this Doc Ock, right, for the Rivals panel, and it was like, wow, we made one heck of a Doc Ock here. And then when it came time to do the new core, it's like, well, how do you outdo the Rivals panel Doc Ock? Because, like, let me tell you, that one was really good, right? And so the challenge became how to outdo yourself, which is always the challenge. It's always the goal. And, you know, so I think that new core set is really sort of the culmination of all of our lessons and ideas and philosophies from art to miniature to game design. It's all sort of there. So that's sort of my long-winded answer. I hope that was nice and refreshing. A little more shadow. Smash and paint. Oh dear, we missed a spot. Oh bother. Oh, of course, Alan. I try to give. Look, if you ask me questions I can answer, I will go on and on. If you ask me questions I can't answer, I will give you the classic, can you keep a secret? I'm waiting for somebody to say yes. So can I. Okay, we're going to start working our transitions. So the first thing I want to do is right here where the sand is becoming cloth, and the cloth is becoming sand. I'm just going to put a couple specks and dings and doddles.
So this is kind of an interesting idea, what you're doing right now, Dallas, because there's a lot of texture on Sandman and a lot of different ways you could bring out all that texture.
And I'm doing more.
Can you expand a little on just this simplified way to get texture without having to paint every tiny little dot on there?
Yeah, we're not gonna paint every tiny little dot, but we're gonna accentuate all that texture shortly. But I want to get this, like, I love this moment where you get this, this sand effect. And I think I might go a little further than even what Brendan did. Brendan did a little bit of this. We'll see what happens. But this moment where the sand and body and, all this stuff is coming together, and like, is he man? Is he sand? Is he a sand man? Like, we're even going to put some of this into the flesh tone up here. Because I want to indicate, like, where does the man and the sand separate? What is it that separates man from sand? So by right here where we sculpted a transition, but it's a sculpted transition. I want to make sure that the paint job accentuates what was created. Yeah, do something brave. There's no mistakes. There's just happy accidents. We all know this. You could even do this with a sponge. We did a sponge earlier on some clones. You could sponge this sort of effect on. It'd be kind of cool. I got a bug bite on my hand last night I was sleeping and it hurts. Think about the flow of the sand, right? It's wrapping and swirling. So I want to accentuate that with the paint job.
Also like the idea for things like this where you have that sand area right up against the cloth of the shirt. In the sculpt, it's pretty well defined, but as Dallas is painting it, pulling that texture down and just painting some spots onto the shirt really gives it, you know, just an extra boost of character. You're not limited to just right where the sculpt ends.
Yeah, you're allowed to kind of go crazy and put it where you deem appropriate. Boo, Titan, boo! 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 I like none of it. Totally forgot to paint his neck back here. Okay, real talk. Which of the spider foes? Because we're painting spider foes right now. Which of the spider foes has you most hype? The electroscope. That was done by Kevin Kirkus. Kevin is a Atomic Mass Games engineer, and you know, he sculpted that electro. Looks fantastic. Absolutely love it. I'm also a huge fan of that vulture. BP says vulture. Awesome. Electro. Sandman. No love for Shocker. Harsh. Dogs. Harsh. My boy Shocker out here with his vibration fists. Like, this needs more love. Come on. I remember when we first were like, okay, Shocker, Sandman, Electro, all on the menu. Gotta do them all, right? Okay. And Sig was like, how you gonna make this old man in his underpants look cool? I was like, I think we can do it. He's like, I believe in you. And we got turned loose and we did Shocker, Electro, Sandman, Vulture, kind of all together. And man, what a great grouping of miniatures. Let's get some more of this yellow back here. It's the fun of foes, right? It's like they're all like tragic, Greek tragedy characters. And there's so many of them are, you know, I mean, like so many heroes and villains. They're, you know, based in elements. So it's pretty cool seeing those represented. Time to blend. Time to blend. Yeah, I'm real excited to get all the foes painted. Just a little blend here, just to make sure everything's tied together well. No, nothing tragic about Doc Ock's hubris. The hubris will be the downfall of us all. Why must we try to fly so high? Just keep shadowing stuff. Oh, movie Doc Ock, super sympathetic, yeah. Ben and Gwen box coming up. Insights on why Ben and Gwen came in a box. I don't remember. Okay, this is where the two brushing really starts to pay off. We're going to blend that out over the green. So this is our first shade tone. We're going to blend it out over the green. And that lighter tone is going to shine through. Those little specks that we made. But then you're going to get that sandiness. Transitioning into the greens. Well, I think a lot of us love, a lot of characters, right? Like, sometimes it's just ideas that work together or, stuff like that. There's no one with an agenda. I'm not even going to throw Josh on the bus on that one. No one with an agenda of like my favorite character and I need 5 versions of it. Sometimes it's just ideas that just kind of happen, or it works at this time. Poor Josh and his hell cow. It's true. Bessie the Hell Cow. Look, I'm not against Bessie the Hell Cow. Come on. You're talking about a Dracula cow, Tony. Whew. Kazoos. And that is true. Gwenpool is Gwenpool, not Gwen Stacy. Gwen, yeah, I didn't even read that comment all the way that the three aliases. Gwenpool is a separate character. It is not Gwen Stacy. It's Gwendolyn Poole. And she knows she's a comic book, Tony. Did you know that?
I was aware, yeah.
Yeah, she knows she's a comic. Gwenpool is also not related to Deadpool. Correct. How's it looking?
I'm loving it.
Do you like how that little brown into the green
Yep,
helps sell our story here?
yep. It's hard to see because I can't make mine full screen, so it's pretty small, but it looks like you adding some nice little dots and stuff too for texture onto that shirt, which I love.
Yeah. Gwenpool, Deadpool, She-Hulk, the Trinity of fourth wall breaks. Yes, absolutely. Just the best of the fourth wall breakers. I recently increased my She-Hulk comic collection, actually. I'm just gonna keep working this. This is what, like I said, this is one of those practice things that gives you fantastic results as you practice it. But I really want to create transition between the green and the sand. And I'm in no hurry. Keep stepping back to see where I'm at on this. Kind of like, what is reading well, what is not reading well? Where is my emphasis needed next? I have not. I fell off Immortal Hulk. I think I'm only on the third trade paperback. I need to repick that up. The summer got pretty busy. I haven't been back to my favorite comic shop in several months. Maybe I'll go back this week. That'd be nice, actually. We'll see what happens. Love going to my local comic shop and picking some stuff up and that's a great question, Mal. That's a really good question, actually. My journey has been. Tony gets to hear the stories. My journey's been quite the journey. I've got tales to tell, as my coworkers know. But originally, what I wanted to do for the majority of my life was I wanted to do like special effects for like horror movies. And then for a long time I wanted to draw comics, yada yada yada. And painting miniatures was always just the hobby, right? It was just the thing I did for fun. And I didn't really realize or understand that it could be a career. So I didn't think of it as something to pursue. So I was focused on, tabletop miniatures. I was focused on painting for myself, painting at tabletop level, and that's all I cared about. I just wanted to paint some cool miniatures. And I started way long ago, in the days of grunge, in the time of flannels just tied around your waist. Tony can relate.
Is that time over? Nobody let me know that.
Sorry, Tony. Hey, you need to untie that flannel from around your waist, buddy. See that transition? See how it's building up? Oh, I love it. So I didn't think about painting miniatures as a job, and then it occurred to me. I met people and they gave me the push, and then I got some support from some family members to move and pursue my this new idea, and I had to push to learn how to paint at a higher level. So that's the short answer. And now I don't paint at all for studio painting. I just make Brendan do it all. Okay, now that that's there, let's get a dark black. A little touch of green. that brown guy in those curses, and it makes it look really weird, so we want to erase that. We want to redark those lines, so those lines stay cut in black. Tony's in there yawning. Thought I heard a big yawn. Oh.
It's kind of unfair. You get to stand on your comfort pad for an hour and a half. I have to sit in this chair the whole time.
You can stand up. I ain't stopping you.
But if I stand up, Dallas, who's going to press the buttons?
No one. No more button pressing. We're painting Sandman all day. How many more streams we got today? Let's tell them how many streams we got, or what's next at least.
Next stream is at 3 o'clock. Marvel Crisis Protocol, game modes galore.
Oh, game modes. Dope. That's going to be dope.
That's Schick, Pagani, and Ben talking about design and dev strategy for the alternative game modes, or alternate game modes.
Alternate game mode stuff. Love it.
And then, yeah, a couple more streams after that.
Closing in on the end of the day. Y'all better start getting those questions. What we got? Like, how much longer we got? 30 minutes?
It was like 20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes. Better start getting those questions in. Better start pointing out what I did wrong.
Dallas, you always say there's like you do it the way you're going to do it. There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong. I'm just painting a man. I'm just painting a little miniature man. Ain't nobody gonna get hurt. It's not the end of the world here. Gross. If you're doing it right, you don't taste the paint. Depth. Does Sandman have a custom base like Juggernaut, or is that the standard base? Oh. Standard base. But let me tell you, he won't fit on the one with the curb. This boy takes up space. Favorite brand of paint? Currently in the studio, we're using Monument. All this painting we've done this week has all been with Monument Pro Acryl paints. You go check them out. So I've been able to give some. I don't do a lot of recipes because like recipes are kind of a fakey. They're kind of a fakey, but we tried to give some recipes this week. Tell people the colors we're using and stuff like that. So you can go back and take a look at any of these streams. Anything you're interested in, should be able to follow along. Like I say, we really like to focus on how to paint, not what to paint philosophy here. Whoa, somebody's coming through the door. Will Schick in the house. Are you here for your next stream?
No, I'm dropping stuff off for my next stream.
The next stream.
Yeah. So I'm going to go straight from the MCT panel that's coming up to this.
What is this? What are you painting?
What? You're painting Hondo.
Ah, jealous. But I got to paint Sandman, so I'll take it. Two streams from now, Hondo and Naka. It's been a busy week, Tony.
It's been a busy week. It's been good though.
It's been real good. Kids, I need a drink. Hold on. Whew. Oh, brush down. Oh, my knees. How's he look, Tony?
Looking great.
As always, it's making me want to paint stuff.
I'll give you something to paint. We got plenty of things for you to paint. Let's do another highlight on this green. Just so we can even use little dots of this highlight to kind of show that maybe the green is starting to transform.
So this is also a point where I think many painters would be edge highlighting those ridges in the shirt all the way across, but you're choosing not to do the entire line. Why not?
Yeah, I see a lot of painters do edge highlighting 360 around, and this is not how light works. I kind of decided like where my light is. Right here, this is my focal point. So I want my highlights there because that's where it's going to draw the eyes. So I'm not going to do the whole edge. I want to create contrast across the miniature. So, you know, you can make a dark green that's still lighter than the shadows. And I love putting like little highlights down here in the shadows. Once again, maybe the green is like showing that transition to sand. So you just put some little specks there. But the highlight's totally different than the other highlight. So it creates more dynamic lighting effects. I try to always think about how light is working or could work. And then also, at the same time, I don't get hyper focused on it's realistic highlighting or lighting. It's sort of a mix of trying to think realistically, but also at the same time just having fun. Yeah, there's some good painters out there. You know, we have some amazing painters that work freelance for us. You should check them out, definitely. Aaron Lovejoy, Elizabeth Beckley, Brendan Roy. Tony, does Oscar have an online presence?
Yeah, he's got Instagram.
Yeah, check out Oscar Lars. Oscar Newton, sorry.
Actually, no, I take that back. It's Oscar Lars on Instagram.
There you go, Oscar Lars on Instagram. So, some fantastic painters doing work for us. You should definitely check them out. Maybe we do the same kind of dots in the face. Look at him. Oh, love it. Tony, it's better than I expected for not a lot of time. We still got all the gubbins and we got a little bit more to do. You know how I think I would highlight this if I was wanting to go fast? I'm going to go back to that sponge. This is going to be crazy. Let's take this sponge. Let's see if this works. Let's take some of that yellow, a little grab of white, get rid of as much as we can on a paper towel. Let's see how this looks. I don't know if this is going to work. All right. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, this totally works.
Lean back to us a little bit. So can you describe the process you're going for here a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just got a little sponge. This is a sponge you can find in, anywhere. Miniature hobby kits, such, and foam pack products. And I put my highlight color on there, and I am just literally just dabbing it because this is going to create very random effect, more than my brush could ever create. We were just talking about in my last one. The human brain is really bad at random. We try to create order out of stuff even when there is no order. It's what we do. So you're not very good at creating randomness. So the sponge is really great at creating randomness, especially as you spin it. So being able to just add these little spacky highlights very quickly gives it a sandy, textured, granular effect across the miniature, and it's very random. Holy cow, I did not think about this until literally just now. I'm gonna have to tell Brendan I did this. And he's gonna be like, yeah, I did that on the studio miniature, dork. And I'll be like, oh, I missed that. But I really like this. This is fantastic. Just gives me some highlighting and with randomness and little dots. Finer dots than my brush could make. Quicker than my brush can make. My toxic trait is thinking I can go home and replicate this. Oh, that's Tony. Who is that? Who's logged in? Is it Ann? Ann or Summer? With a little practice, you gotta believe in the me that believes in you. You gotta do the thing to learn the thing. You can't just wish. That'll get you nowhere in life. I mean, you can even let that bounce down into the green. Oh, gorgeous. Need a little more controlled version of that. Oh, I love it. Figuring out new stuff all the time, Tony. Feels good, don't it?
We've got less than 10 minutes.
Okay, so we need to start wrapping up.
Yeah. Have you shown the other bases?
Oh, the other parts. Does everybody want to see the grunts that he comes with? I won't be able to get them painted. Hour and a half on Sandman, and I think I'm about, I'd say I'm about 80% there, 90% there, probably about 90% there. I got a little bit more to do on the overall sand effect, especially down here where I kind of ignored it. And then I got all the like concrete blocks and bits and the concrete steel. I got to finish his eyes and stuff like that. But then I'll do the exact same techniques that you all just witnessed on the little hand, as I like to call it. Little whirlpool of sand ripping up a Marvel Crisis Protocol lamppost. Of course, you know exactly the lamppost this is. And then my favorite one, the big hand. Just how can you have Sandman on a table that's not just, creating sand and grabbing you and you not like from underneath you and you don't even know that it's going to happen, like this, just this giant hand of sand, bursts up and grabs a hold of you and he's coming in for the big punch. Just a fantastic story. So it's a lot of fun to create those and get those on the table. Very, very cool. Well, we got 2 minutes?
About 5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right. Well, I'll just keep painting then. Fine. You talked me into it, chat. We'll do the big hand. We'll start the big hand. We won't finish the big hand. We're just going to do the exact same way we did the last one. Just blopping on some yellow paints. Adding some dark browns, some reddy browns. Then we're gonna use the sponge technique for highlights. Holy cow, why did I not think of this sooner, Tony? Are you as excited as I am over the sponge?
I mean, I'm interested, but I think you're way more excited.
Okay, I'm way more excited. That's fine. I accept. That makes sense. Man, I'm using one wreck of a brush for this because it's wrecking it even further. Because I am paint smashing. Oh yeah, check out Sarastro for some great painting. He does a lot of atomic mass stuff, so you should definitely check out Sarastro. Fantastic fella, met him at Gen Con. Lancelot says these sculpts are great. Thank you. I think the sculpting team was all super excited about these. They were just like, this is ridiculous and amazing. Gotta get up underneath them fingers. Making an absolute mess, that's fine. Just gotta get paint on it. All right, we only got a few more minutes. Then we're getting ready to kick it over to the other stream, other studio. I can hear him in the hallway getting ready. Mini Extravaganza Day 3. We were just rocking through stuff too. Let's get paint on that little hand. Love this question, Scarecrow. If I may, are you a headman or an optional helmet dude? Great question, honestly. For me, it depends on the character. It just depends on the character. Sometimes it depends on the head too. Like, like Rex. I think I went helmet because I left I helmet off because I really wanted that Rex on the battlefield. I wanted to see that's Rex, right? So it all depends on the character. It all depends on what I'm painting, or if I really just get inspired by the helmet or the head. Like it's too many variables for me to say yes or no. Like which way, So for me, it's all what does the miniature inspire in me, and sometimes it's a helmet, sometimes it's not. That's my answer. Man, this sand is just wrecking stuff. More paint, smash. This is both.
All right, we gotta wrap it up.
Wrap it up. All right, I'm just gonna keep painting. You ready to just do the outro?
Ready now.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're getting ready to do, what was it again? What was the name of the next one?
The next one is MCP Game Modes Galore.
Oh yeah, game modes. Get ready. We got game modes coming with the dev team. You should get ready and check that out. And Mini Extravaganza keeps going. And we'll see you over there in that chat. We'll talk to you later. Bye.